like to welcome you to Boy Meets Wellness, a podcast that discusses the complexities, celebrations, and challenges of building a wellness ritual as a BOI, a person who is born obviously incredible. You are now listening to Boy Meets Wellness with poet, motivational speaker, and wellness lover, Evolve Benton.
BOI, born obviously incredible, especially when you wear it pretty.
What's good, Boy Meets Wellness? Welcome to November. I started off this month celebrating the Day of the Dead and really focusing on honoring my mother. My mother passed when I was 21 years old, and I'm 32 years old now. And I spent the first couple of years of her not being here being extremely depressed and hella down on her death day last year or the year before. My friends from the Latinx community shared the tradition of the Day of the Dead with me. And if you need a simple introduction, to check it out on the film Coco, which is one of my favorite films, where you will literally see Latinx folks building altars and sacred spaces to really spend time to recognize the ancestors who've passed on and to give them life literally in the afterlife. So today I'm really excited about the interview, but I really wanted to just check in with that and give y'all some tips on how to deal with grief, right? Like, we don't have to be sad. It is appropriate to be sad and it's okay to mourn, but we don't have to be depressed, right? Like, there's other ways that we can connect to our ancestors, and Day of the Dead is a perfect time to do that. My mother actually passed on November 2nd, 2007, which is literally the Day of the Dead. So I believe that she's eternally connected in some way already. So it's very exciting to be able to celebrate her in that way and to bring joy into my life in November. So today I'll be hosting and interviewing Nick from Studology 101, which is an amazing YouTube channel and movement that has been around for about a decade. The reason I wanted to do this interview with Nick was because a couple of weeks ago, I seen a video with Nick discussing Studology 101 actually ending, and I was selfishly disappointed in the show ending. The reason I say it was selfish was because, I don't know the capacity it takes for these folks to make this show or where they're at on their journey. I was just like, this is entertainment. This is something that brings me joy. So I'm excited about today's interview because I'm a big fan of Studology 101, a big fan of the work that Nick and DZ do, and I want to share it with y'all, right? So we're going to talk about media, we're going to talk about authenticity, and we're also going to talk about forgiveness, right? Because that is something that has to happen, especially when you're doing business and building relationships with family. So before we jump into the interview, I wanted to share a wellness tip with y'all this month. So the wellness tip of November is all about ending toxic relationships. I know many of us hold on to people in our life that are toxic. I don't know why we do it. And I want to tell y'all something. Holding on to anything toxic isn't good for your body. Literally, food, people, water. I mean, we see people die from poisoning every day. Literally, hanging out with people who are not good for you can shorten your lifespan. So now the one thing that I was holding on from cutting out people out of my life and really stepping out of relationships that were no longer serving me was history. I was like, I've known these people for 10 years, 5 years. I'm connected to these people. They're connected to my work. How could they ever not be in my life, right? So here's the tip I have for y'all. Literally take a week to a month and put people on timeout. I mean, all people who, bring you joy or not. And take a step back to do some self-work, whether that's journaling, writing, spending the time just working out, eating good, whatever you need to do to make your body feel amazing. And then take that time and tell folks, tell them that you need that space to build capacity for yourself. The responses will bring so much enlightenment to you. For example, I was a leader of a business last June, and I decided to step away and take some time, take about a month to really reevaluate those relationships. And literally in that month, I was able to see who I had the capacity for, who I wanted to build with, and who I no longer wanted to build with. And I think that this time is important. I think that we spend so much time in toxic relationships, literally blocking our blessings from us. So literally before July, right? I said that I ended these relationships in June. Before July even came into, existence, I had gained enough insight, and I continue to gain insight on those relationships and more evidence of how I wasn't being valued, and how I need to show up in the world. So this also gave me an opportunity to connect with myself and build on my own self-awareness and my own authenticity. So my tip for you is to put the negative people in your life on a timeout and reevaluate those toxic relationships. Do it now, do it today. Don't really sit back and spend time, building with people who don't value you, or, building relationships that aren't stable. If you're really feeling the vibes of this show, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or iTunes. That's where you can follow us. Subscribe, share with friends, family. If you're feeling the vibes even more, follow me on social media. You can follow me anywhere. Evolve Benton, EBOLBENTON. Or you can get any updates about my life and the things I have going on with my poetry, with speaking engagements at evolvebenton.com. Thank you so much for listening. Now let's jump into this amazing interview with Nick from Studology 101. All right. Welcome, world. This is Boy Meets Wellness. It's your boy, Evolve. I'm hella excited about this conversation today. Excited to talk to my boy, Nick, and to really talk about media making in the LGBT community, to talk about how do we bring authenticity into our stories, and to talk about like healing and forgiveness. So Nick, if you could just tell the world a little bit about who you are, your pronouns, what you prefer, and what brings you joy.
Cool. So just a little bit about myself. Obviously, my name's Nick. I am 29 years old, and I'm a social media influencer on YouTube, or YouTuber. Been doing that for the last 10 years. And let's see, something that brings me joy would have to be pizza. Eating brings me joy, I'm not going to lie. Even though I should not find joy in food, that's like such a bad thing. But that and working out, I say, it's kind of two different extremes, but they both bring me joy and happiness. What was the last one? I know I'm missing something.
Your pronouns.
My pronoun is she. It doesn't bother me at all if somebody accidentally calls me he. I'm not opposed to it. But I do identify as she.
Okay, dope. Yeah, I have a friend who often says, like, as long as it comes with respect and love, like, you could call me anything. And that's kind of how I feel about it, too. Pizza. So, like, what's your favorite, what's your favorite flavor? And if I'm in Texas, like, where do I go for, the best pizza?
Oh, man. So if you're in Texas and visiting, you want to go to Serious Pizza in Deep Ellum. It's huge slices of pizza. But they're really, really good. And my favorite, is pepperoni, but I love supreme. So I'm like, really, it's crazy because it's two different extremes, just one top into like everything. But those are the flavors that I like. I like supreme or pepperoni.
So speaking of joy, I think one of the things that attracted me to you, because I believe that we're like attracted by energy, and by people and by vibes, was like seeing you on YouTube, like probably like 9-10 years ago, in my youth, really talking about our stories in an authentic way. Like it never felt staged, and it always felt like you were bringing a sense and a vulnerability and an intentionality there. And I know that, since that time you've shifted, a lot. We all have, but, if you could give just like, just a little bit about like how you came up with the idea of starting to share your story on YouTube, and how you've utilized that platform in the last 10 years to really, show authenticity and share your story.
Well, the way we got started, we were actually bored one day and just watching people on YouTube give their opinions on like our lifestyle, the LGBT lifestyle. And I was just like, not convinced that those were good answers. I was like, oh my God, like if they're giving opinions, we really could give them some real opinions, because that's not the way to go about it, and so we were like, let's just give it a swing. And we did. And like in the first 3 months, we had 5,000 subscribers. And back then, YouTube was just getting started. So that was like, wow, you're making an impact online. And we were like, yeah, we are. So we just kept going with it. And now 10 years later, it has really changed on YouTube, and I'm pretty sure you could see the change. Like, there is a lot of fakeness going on right now. And the cool thing is that it's kept us grounded, and we keep the same type of content. Like, we don't really do like fake pranks and stuff like that on our channel, like you see right now. And it's really transformative because we can be transparent with people, and they get to see like what we've been through and the things that help us grow. It's actually helping them grow. And people tell us all the time, like, man, I've been watching you since I was so young, and I see like you're still going with it. Like, how do you remain so consistent? And it's just like, it literally brings us happiness to be able to help other people. And that's what keeps us going, truly, is that we're impacting so many lives. It's like, for us to stop, it would be like detrimental for everyone else, you know, like so many people were impacted, and we saw that, you know. So it just keeps us going, just the people who watch us.
Dope. So a few years back, I met DZ actually at the Brown Boy Project retreat. And, you know, we talked, and they told me all about the We All We Got movement. I got my bracelet. I still actually have it. And it's just, you know, like, it's something that I always go back to when I'm really trying to talk to my folks about why we have to continue to do this work to not only like create change, but to heal one another, you know? So can you tell me just a little bit about, you know, that movement and that part of the work? And I know I've seen recently you got some new swag and stuff, like what's going on with that movement as well?
So like the We All We Got movement literally was started to help promote LGBT artists, like people who didn't have a platform. And so we started it strictly doing it for LGBT artists. And then we were like, you know, like this can be actually bigger than the LGBT community. And I felt like because it said We All We Got, like it was like a disservice to only keep it about the LGBT community. So we included everyone. And it's literally just to showcase talent. That's what it started off as. But when we were in it's funny how you brought up the Brown Boy Project, but when I was there, you know, I was chatting it up with Cole, and she's like, man, the We All We Got movement is so much bigger than just the LGBT community. She's like, it's going to take you some years to actually like figure that out and really, really get it out there, because the world needs it, just not right now. And so I understood where she was coming from when she told me that. And I was like, man, there is something that the We All We Got movement is for. And we were trying to pinpoint it and really, really understand, because we created something that is so impactful for other people, and it just can mean so many different things for everyone, that we just now started transforming it into it being for everyone and just being beyond showcasing talent. It's actually something to unify people, and everyone resonates with it. So we're still kind of figuring out what direction we want to take it. But at the moment, we're using the platform to showcase talent, whether it's LGBT or not, whether it's an artist, whether it's a singer, just somebody who just has talent or just runs a business. That's just what the We All We Got movement is for.
Dope, man. That's amazing that Cole like brought that in. And it was like manifested, you know. I just watching, so I'll be on Instagram, you know, as we do in the morning sometime, and a video came up of Soulja Boy, I guess, rapping, right? And he was telling all the kids, like, the next president is here, the next big rapper is here. And I guess, I don't really know the rapper, his name is Lil Pump, but he was in the room, and I guess he was 9 years old, right? So like people really like seeing you and instilling power in you and in your movements without even knowing that they're doing it, just with the words that we speak, you know. So it's just magical, you know. I love to hear things, and I love when things expand, because I feel like personally they can't sustain if they stay the same. Like that's not how movement or how celebration is supposed to happen. So who do you like to watch? You know, I always like to ask media makers. I have a lot of friends who are filmmakers, and I'm always asking them, like, you know, what's your favorite film? So who are you watching on YouTube, and who inspires you?
Oh man, there's so many who inspire me. one person that I watch heavy that is not really making content right now because they're really focused on self-love and self-care would be Heartbeat. I don't know if you watch Heart online, but Heart is like someone that is kind of OG YouTuber like myself, and she creates really good content. She's like really talented, can make her own like everything she does on her own pretty much. She went to school for film, so I love to watch her. It's just that she's not creating content right now, so I like literally am old school. There are some YouTubers that I watch that are new school, like Damo. Of course, I'm keeping up with the drama online, but the main reason is why I watch is pretty much to study what's going on, because I'm not those people's age. You know, like these people, the new YouTubers are like 19 through 23, you know, so like I'm way older than them, so it's like a different reason that I'm watching. I'm not watching mainly because they entertain me. It's more because I'm trying to keep up with the times of what YouTube is going through, and at the same time be able to adjust my content without changing it completely. So like, or with remaining authentic. Like you want to not be fake because the times are changing. So I got to study what's going on. So I watch Damo, all the younger YouTubers out there, Chanel and Omala. I mean, I watch them. I'm not going to say that I'm big fans of their content. I'm not going to lie. I just literally keep up because I'm trying to see what people are creating out there. But people that I do like to watch, like I like their channels 110%, is going to be Heartbeat, Addiction. I don't know if you used to watch Addiction, but she's a YouTuber also. Yeah, I like Foxy's Hot Mess, Amber's Closet. You know, people who are actually
you bringing up all the old school.
So I like to watch stuff that like their content is like real stuff, you know, not just there to like bring drama and stuff. But I doesn't mean I'm not watching. You know, I try to stay up to date with my YouTube content. But I prefer those other channels that I named, like as far as like me being fans of. Yeah, that's what I enjoy.
And that was real. That's a pro strategy right there, right? Like it's like
yeah.
I feel like, you know, like maybe in the beginning when people start making media, it's kind of like checkers, right? Like you're just trying to figure out, you know, how to get across the board, and then you get to a point where you're playing chess, and you really being strategic, you know, not only about what you're consuming, but even your time, you know. So that's hella dope. So like, what are like, you know, maybe 2 more tips that you would give for young media makers trying to make it in the game, in the social media game too, right? Because it's YouTube, but then I also see that, you know, you're on Instagram, you're like everywhere, really spreading this joy and spreading, you know, not just positivity, but your story. Like even the stuff that you have going on with your fiance, like, you know, as a person in a relationship, I appreciate being able to see content like that, right? Because I feel like 10 years ago, everybody was single that was doing it. So it was just a different kind of tone. So it's real to even see, you know, folks grow up, you know, right in front of you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's crazy how that happened. But yeah, like 2 tips I would give. One is for sure stay consistent. That's the most important tip ever. Is that if you don't stay consistent, YouTube is a different ball game. So you can be inconsistent like almost anywhere else, but YouTube is just like, if you're not posting content, you're just not going to get the views. You're just not going to make the income. And it's just kind of going to be you're going to always be playing a game of catch up. So definitely stay consistent. Another tip I would give is find your niche. Like, don't create a channel and just become someone else or do exactly what someone else is doing, because we're always looking for more content to watch, something else that inspires us to stay on YouTube and watch. You know, like nobody wants to watch the same thing just on a different channel. So it's like it gets really repetitive on YouTube, and that's what you see with a lot of couples channels. And that's one thing me and my fiance, we waited on for a long time, and we were like, man, let's not make a channel because it's going to be the same like everyone else. And we were like, man, we have to find our niche. We have to show them our true selves. That's what separates you from the rest. So as long as you remain yourself, then you will be successful at any social media outlet. Just be you 110%, because no one else can really replace that. No one can people try to do what you do, but the thing is that they're not you. So it just doesn't come off the same, so people pick up on who you are, and that's what keeps you going on social media.
Yeah, and you talking about, man, you mentioning money moves and everything, like, because I mean, man, that's real. Like, people spend so much time creating content, and then they don't get compensated for it, or it gets taken, and it's just it's just unfortunate things that happen. So yeah, like, so let's talk about that a little bit, about you sharing your relationship with the world, right? And I really, as a person who, like, we have like a couple's Instagram, but that's like really minor compared to like us literally talking to the world about our lives, right? Like, what are some boundaries, or what are some things that you've had to set up to make sure that home is being taken care of, right? Like, that the love is still going into a relationship. Like, how do you balance trading media with your partner and being in a partnership?
Well, the first thing we had to even like make sure that we wanted to both do this. We had to we literally waited, because me and her have been together for 6 years, and we've only been on YouTube for a little over a year, about a year and 10 months now, almost 2 years. And we waited a long time because, one, we wanted to make sure that we were going to last. Like, we really, really want this. We see a future with ourselves, with or without YouTube. But we know how becoming business partners is like a whole different story. It can make or break us. When times get hard, is it going to break us? So we literally made sure that both of us wanted to do this. And, I've been on YouTube way longer than my fiance has. So I was like, this is like a second job. So are you ready to do this with me or not? And she was like, yeah, I'm ready to do it. And sometimes there's days where she doesn't feel like recording, and I feel like recording. And so we just kind of like help each other out with that. Like, have to remind each other, like, hey, we need some quality time away from the camera. We need to maybe record more videos in 1 week and then just post throughout the week, even though we hadn't, we may have recorded that a month ago. So, we try to get ahead of the time. That way we don't have to focus on just being so, like, with the camera everywhere we go, So if we're doing something like maybe visiting with the family, we obviously don't want to take our vlogs and camera everywhere with the fam. Like, man, they're going to be like, dang, get the camera out of my face. I just want to chill sometimes. So we literally just got ahead and started like recording videos like a week in advance. We'll record like maybe 5 videos in 1 day. And then you got enough content for the next 5 weeks, So that's one of the things we had to do just so we could like be okay with recording on a regular basis and not get burnt out, and still have that, separation of we need to go out on a date versus taking the camera on a date with us,
Yeah, that's hella dope, man. 6 years in the game. Congratulations on that. That's like that's really like, I know I've been with my girl for 3 going on 4 years, and relationships are work, because we're still working on ourselves. And I tell her that all the time. I'm like, I thank you for being able to be with me while I'm still figuring out how to love myself. You know what I mean? Like, really,
for real.
Like, being there for that space. So, the other question I have for you in regards to YouTube is, I know that you have several different outlets and several different channels, but I've seen you do some amazing interviews with folks, like sit down and really, pull some stories out. So if you could go back and maybe interview a couple of people, or maybe even like, who are some people you would want to, have conversation with, who would those folks be?
Oh, man. Some new people I would love to have a conversation with would be Lena Wyatt. I would love to pick her brain and see where she's at, just what she's doing right now for the community, and just being super transparent. I would love to sit down and have a chat with her. Like, she's just done some great work, and it'd be cool to even work with her one day. But yeah, that's somebody, I bought copies of her magazine. She was on Vanity Fair, and I was like, man, that's so dope. Like, someone is actually really, really out here doing it. Another person,
and showing up in so many amazing ways too.
Man,
she's amazing.
Like, showing up and showing out, and I'm just like in wow at how she's representing like, that's exactly how I would like to represent one day, you know. So that's somebody that I definitely want to interview one day. Hopefully I get her on the channel. We'll see. Let's see. Another person that I would love to interview is Young and May. I know it sounds like kind of like, oh, she's just a rapper, but she's actually a rapper who hasn't changed for anyone. Like, I've seen, you know, LGBT artists come out and do a 360, you know. I'm not gonna say any names, Dej Loaf. No, I'm just playing. But for real, like, you see a whole bunch of people that just kind of have to switch it up because sex sells in the industry. And Young and May has just been like coasting through, steady being herself, and like I kind of want to pick her brain and see how the industry has treated her, you know. Because I mean, I've talked to so many artists, and they're like, yeah, this is what I have to do, pretty much. So I would like to see how she's handling that, and as a business person as well.
Yeah, I love Young and May, man. The album, all of the albums, but the last one that she put out really, you know, really hit home. And I really appreciate that she sticks to her story, you know what I mean, as well. Yeah. Keeps it very consistent. And I think that, you know, I would love to hear an interview between y'all to have a heart to heart, just about like where she's at, but also like about where you're at, right? Like this trajectory of seeing more masculine of center folks, Black folks, LGBT folks really step up into the visibility realm, and what does that mean when people actually see us, you know? Yeah. And how do we inspire folks? So a couple of weeks ago, maybe like 2-3 weeks ago, I seen that you posted that really vulnerable video about Studology 101 ending, you know, and I was like, no, like my immediate self was like, no. My selfish self too, right? Because I'm like, you know, I don't know the labor that goes into this, so I can't. Selfishly, I'm like, no. But then I also understood in a way, because I've had like relationships in my life transition this year. I was like the founder of a lesbian fraternity for 10 years, and I had to step away from that just because of the stagnancy. And I was like, I have to open up room for myself to grow, you know, and that was hard. You know, letting go of things are hard. And I know recently we talked and things are different now, but what I really wanted to talk to you about was not just like the shift of Studology 101, and you could definitely tell us where y'all are at right now, but emotionally, like, you know, as far as wellness, what is the work that you do to be able to be so vulnerable online, right? Because I feel like that interview that you did, you were really keeping it real. And even on your Twitter, you know, like you'll share when you're having a bad day, when things aren't well, right? Like, and a lot of people, they only want to share us, I'm happy. It's like, no, we're not happy all the time.
Right, exactly.
So you know, like, how were you able to show up in that moment? How were you able to like shift that relationship to be able to keep doing the work? And, you know, like what is your wellness journey in regards to that?
I think the main reason why I share is because transparency is so important. Like, if you're not sharing these moments with people, and you've been sharing thus far, you know, you share all the good moments, but you never show the bad moments, it's not being transparent. You know, I want people to know that we're still human. Absolutely. Sometimes we have off days, and sometimes even in our business relationships, we have off days. Beezy and I have been best friends for years, for well over since Studology has begun, you know, that we have like 14 years in, and we've known each other since we were in high school. So, I mean, when we're going through something, we decide to share online, because that's where it's like our online diary almost. And I feel like if we didn't share and it just stopped, it'd just be like, why? You know, people would still be wondering why, what's going on. Oh, they just, you know, I don't want people to make assumptions on what is really going on, because that's what they'll do. They'll do it anyways, but it's better if I go ahead and just tell you what's going on instead of keeping you out. You know, it's like letting you into our lives 110% or 50% and not the other 50%. Like, I have to be able to be transparent with our followers, because we started this channel to educate people, not to bullshit them, you know? So I was like, maybe they can learn from this situation. And at that time, I really did. I was 110% convinced that she was, that it was going to be over. And had I not been convinced that that's what it was going to be, then I wouldn't even have posted that video. We'd have just kind of ended it. I think together we would have did a separate video. But DZ and I at the time were not really seeing eye to eye. We weren't even really communicating very well. All the communication was through text message. And obviously, you don't want to communicate through text message. So we actually set up a time to link up in person and kind of figure out our differences and get in each other's head and see where we were at. And it turns out literally that's all we needed, is that we needed each other. And being that I've been in a relationship for 6 years and DZ has not, has also been a different, type of thing, because me and DZ have always been together. So like we share a lot of the same opportunities. Like she's a brown boy, I'm a brown boy, and usually there's not two brown boys when they're in a group together. So like a lot of our experiences in life have been the same, all of our opportunities. So like I was in a relationship, and for a long time, I'm pretty sure DZ felt like a third wheel and never said that, So there's just been a lot throughout the years that hasn't been voiced, and that being that we're both so masculine, our communication together is a little bit off. So it's cool because my fiance can step in and be like, hey, y'all need to work it out right in front of us. And we're like, yeah, you're right. And so she's kind of been a counselor low key for me and DZ. And, but yeah, we worked it out, got it together. And I think I really needed to do that video because I needed to talk to the fans. I needed to see where their head was with Studology. Like, are we all on the same page? Like, where are we going as a movement together? Where I needed to feel the energy, like I just needed to put myself in that space with them to understand where we needed to take it. So yeah, I had to get online with it.
Yeah, and we were like, no. Everybody was like, no. And I'm sure that felt good, right? Like, not good, but you felt wanted, right? Like, you felt like another sense of, like, my value is there, because I think there is so much content there, you can get, like, it could feel like you're lost in that. Like, do people still want this? Like, it could be hard. So yeah, like, going into business with your best friend, like, any tips for boys, like for folks considering doing this work with family, right? Like, 'cause, I mean, a lot of your work is linked to your personal life. Like, any tips for that?
Man, communication. I could tell you right now that has been the only downfall. Every time we have an issue, it's because of a lack of communication. Other than that, there has been no issue thus far, and it's been 10 years. So 10 years without any issues is pretty good. Most people will fall out in the first couple years, maybe the first year, maybe the first 6 months. They say most businesses don't last the first 5 years. So me and DZ have made it through the, hell and back. So as long as we communicate, we're good, because pretty much the vision is the same. I don't know if you've noticed, but DZ and I are like, we're different people. I mean, we have different personalities, and that's what makes Studology 101, is that there's kind of a balance of calm and collective and a little bit more rowdy and edgy. And DZ's the more rowdy and edgy one. So we kind of need that, we needed one another, and we realized that we're family. So at the end of the day, it's about putting this work in and staying true to the vision that we had in the first place. So if you remember why you started, you'll never quit.
Def. Yeah, man. I mean, y'all are definitely like polar opposites, but the way that y'all come together in that space, in that Studology space, and I love that y'all just called it Studology. Like, I feel like if you wanna name yourself a brand king, then you can name yourself that, because you got that down. You really got that.
Yeah,
down.
Man. I appreciate it.
So I've been watching you also make some money moves as well. Like, I seen that you got a house, right? I be watching that. I be watching when my boys is moving up, because I'm like, we getting grown. Yeah. What do we do as grown ups, right? Like, what is this
for real?
Newfound joy? Because I see the work part, but what's the celebration?
Right, exactly.
So, like, how was that process in getting a house? And is there anything you would want to share that you didn't know that you know now about that? I know I'm in California, so probably the rules are completely different, but like, what was that process like for you and your family?
I mean, that buying a house is so like hectic in itself. It's like so much that goes on. Like they say that like it's one of the most stressful things you can do in life besides like going to funerals and stuff like that. It's like death, divorce, and buying a house are like the top three. And I can tell you for sure it was pretty stressful. Like, oh my gosh, it tested mine and my fiance's relationship at that point, like the most that we've ever been tested. It's just like, do we really want to buy a freaking house at this point? Like, you know, but once we got settled in, like, it was just like, man, we did it. We got it done. We could do anything now. I felt like Wonder Woman in this thing. Like, you can really accomplish anything once you move up and everything you've been doing, it actually pays for itself. One thing I would say is obviously save your money for your down payment. A lot of people think they could just get in a house and do zero down, and you can for some reason, but you want to do all your legwork and see what you're getting into because it's such an expensive thing you're buying. You know, it's the biggest purchase you'll probably ever make, and so you want to take your time, pick out the right house, make sure you know and understand all the legwork behind it, and know that you're going to have a project for the rest of your life. I mean, if that's the house that you plan on being in forever, like if that's your forever home, it's going to always be a project. There's always going to be something to do. So don't let it get discouraging. Just knock one thing out at a time, pretty much. But yeah, it feels really good to be in this position right now in my own space.
Yeah, man, that's like cool to see. Like when I seen it, I was just like celebrating for you. 'Cause not only do like not a lot of like Black folks, you know, have property, but then if you put that intersection of being LGBT on there, like the percentages even drop more. I recently went to like a first time home buyer like workshop, and the statistics, I was like, wow, like it was like last year maybe 6% of the folks who bought homes here were Black, and I was just like, that's impossible. Yeah, like we've gotta do better, you know.
Yeah, we do, and a lot of it starts with like helping each other out, and you know that's what me and my fiance did. We actually took a few different steps this year. We got a joint bank account, and we were like, let's put all of our income into one account, and let's see how we can both benefit from it. That way we don't feel like, oh no, it's mine. Like it's what's mine is yours. So we kind of opened that up, and it actually helped because we did that before we even thought about buying a house. And it actually we could see our money better that way. So if you're going to be in a partnership, I mean, do it 100%.
Yeah, that's a good tip. I'm scared of that. I'm going to have to still think about that one. But
I know.
But no,
yeah,
I've been thinking about it more because I'm like, once we are like engaged and like there's a level up. So it's like, I feel like that's one of the things that happens, with the level up is a joint account. But we got to gotta get there first. We got to get there. We got to wiggle in.
Yeah. Hey, it's scary. I'm not going to lie.
It's hella scary, especially like I didn't see a lot of, I'm not going to say my parents weren't in a good relationship, but they weren't happy. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they kind of settled in. And I didn't see a lot of things in my life, that I can model after, like the relationship rules and just the things that we believe are different. So I'm all about creating our own rituals and our own traditions, but I'm also all about watching and learning from others. So that's why I love watching y'all's channel and just just really seeing you connect with the world on your life. And before you got that house, you were talking about you was going to get that house. You were talking about it for quite some time. And I've seen you do that probably the last decade, really say things and then they come true. And what I call it, that's manifestation, right? That's so much. Oh, yeah. It's so much power. So where does that come from? Are you following the law of attraction? Do you have a wellness routine? Are you just, extremely faithful? Where do you think that comes from for you? Where is that magic at?
Man, I read a lot of books. So the thing is when you're practicing the law of attraction, it's kind of hard because you're waiting on something to manifest. And if you don't see it right away, you get discouraged over time. And the way I stay encouraged is you have to like keep yourself busy. You have to keep yourself like reading another book. So like that's the way I do it. I've been practicing the law of attraction since 2005 is when I first learned about it. And that was a long time ago. You know, I was like, it took forever. But the first thing I manifested for myself was a Range Rover, which is kind of crazy. Like, I was like, okay, you know, I really want my dream car is a Range Rover. And boom, I had manifested it. It was paid for in cash. It was my ex-girlfriend at the time. I know it's kind of putting her business out there, but she had a sugar daddy, and we were together. And we just like on Christmas, he dropped her a Range Rover, and we were like, "Oh crap, we got a Range Rover!" Like we've been practicing a lot, you know, like just out of nowhere. And that's when I was like, "All right, I'm gonna take this a little bit more seriously," you know. And I was 18 years old driving a Range Rover to like Foot Locker to go work, you know, like that was crazy for me at the time. And like my income was pretty disposable at the time. And it was just like, I didn't even need to go to work. Like there was so much income for me, and that had nothing to do with YouTube. It was crazy. But that's when I first started practicing it. But now I just read like crazy. Like I have a book collection right now. I'm reading The Power Now. And it's like so important to just be present, because a lot of people are just so focused on building the future and like overcoming from like the past. And none of those are existent. Like nothing happens in the future, nothing happens in the past, because they don't exist anymore. So if you focus more on like what you're doing now and pay attention to like how you're feeling now, you can kind of direct your energy better. Like, how are you feeling right now? Are you sad? Like, why are you sad? Is it worth being sad? Is it something you can take care of right now to make you happy? Or is it something that can only get better in the future? You know what I'm saying? So it's like focusing in the now, and believing is like so important, because a lot of people, they don't really believe in it, or they're like, yeah, I could do this, but, and there's always that but. I think you just have to really believe in what you're doing in order to manifest. That's just how it works. And if you can see it and you can believe it, then it's yours. Like, you just got to let the time pass.
Yeah, The Power of Now. Wow. So that's, you said that's the book that you're reading right now. You said so much. You said so much in there. Like that little, we could just pull that bite out right there and give real. That to probably the next leaders of our future.
For real.
So what I'm gonna say right now is I see some speaking gigs, man. I see you moving a crowd. I see thousands. You know what I mean? I see
for real
500,000 people, you know, listening to that power in your story and in the way that you share. So what are some things like we over here, you know, at Boy Meets Wellness or in the world can look forward to? Like what are your aspirations for the future? I know you do YouTube, but you mentioned Lena Waithe and maybe doing some work, you know, in the film. Like what's your next steps? What can we expect from you or to see in the next 3 to 5?
Man, the next 3 to 5, I mean, you could definitely see Level Up from Studology. As far as that channel, we're really, really getting more serious about it and picking up pretty much where we left off. So you'll see more interviews, of course. I believe we'll be doing more speaking gigs, more appearances. That is actually something that we planned on doing and that we have been planning on doing for a long time. Like, we got a mentor who actually does that for a living, and she kind of has taught us how to do so. And then with the Brown Boy Project, that kind of taught us even more on how we can do that and dip into those kind of, you know, those platforms. But yeah, pulling our content offline and maybe eventually getting on like Netflix or something like that. I think that would be like more major for us. But yeah, that's my goal, is to like eventually get onto Netflix with some type of content. I'm not sure what it's going to be, but I don't know if you've seen us. We've been dibbing and dabbling in like acting also. So yeah, we're kind of just everywhere right now, but I think that within the next 5 years, it'll be more stable and we'll be like more like motivational speaker kind of. I think so. Like, we could do appearances for people in the community at Pride events and stuff like that. which we've sat on panels before. So it won't be too much different than what we're doing. You're just going to see more of it.
That's nice. That's nice. Well, I look forward to, seeing you make it happen. How can folks, get connected with you, follow you, share space with you in the world? What's the best way to do that?
The best way, they can reach out to me online. They can email me, nodtonick@icloud.com. I connect better through that way, like if they email me, just because there's so many people like in our social media. Sometimes I might miss it, or I might not get to it. Literally, if I don't write it down or if I don't set a reminder in my phone, I'll probably miss it. Like last Sunday, I was supposed to link with you, and you know how that went for me. So I was like, man, I need to get it together. So that is one thing that I'm working on, is really writing stuff down. That's one of the harder things. But for everyone who's listening right now, if you write it down, that will help out the manifestation even faster. So just constantly write stuff down, man. Your thoughts, your ideas, your gratitude, all that.
Yeah, I just finished reading for the second time The 12-Week Year. I don't know if you've read that book yet.
Oh, no, I'm about to write it down, though.
Yeah, but it talks about, focusing on really just two. I do 2 to 3, but you really just focus on two goals for 12 weeks. And it gives you a way to create a task list and really attack it. And then at the end of the 12 weeks, you celebrate, you know what I mean? So you celebrate throughout the year these accomplishments, and it's supposed to give you speed, but also a way to acknowledge yourself and all the work that you're doing. But it's been really helpful for me to get things done. I put out a book this year, my poetry book, Sir. Folks can check it out, evolveinto.com, all that good stuff. And then I also started this podcast, and this was something that I wanted to do for a while, but I just was playing with it. I would put a task on my list and then not get it done, or like you said, not write it down and just having it sitting in my heart, which is great, but it's that's not gonna get the work done. Intention don't move unless you move it, So
absolutely.
So I believe in writing it down, and no worries about not I miss things all the time. So when it happened, I was just and I seen it I think I seen something you posting about a really busy weekend, and mine was too. So it probably was a blessing in disguise, because we probably don't good the extra rest, you know what I mean? And sometimes that's better than anything. So to wrap it up, my last section that I do with folks is called Boy Talk and Hop, right? So it's kind of like a fill in the blank kind of section. It's fun, get the brain to moving, get your brain to kind of to think some things. So I'm going to say the statement, and you'll say it back to me by filling in the blank. So the first one would be, I love to watch. And then you would say, I love to watch maybe Studology 101. I don't know, right? I love to watch y'all personally. And Westworld, that's my new show. So if you have the time to check that out, check out Westworld.
Westworld?
But Westworld, yeah. It might leave you out a little bit. It's on that sci-fi humans or robots type of tip. But I think we need to know. We need to know what they out there creating. I need to know, just in case I come back as a clone, I want to be able to know I'm a clone.
Okay.
For real.
Straight up.
Okay, so let's jump into this. Let's jump in. So my favorite food is?
My favorite food is pizza.
Oh, yeah, you said that in the beginning. Definitely. Okay.
Matter of fact, I'm eating it right now.
Definitely. So hot or cold?
Hot.
You like it hot or cold? Hot. Okay. You got to throw it in the microwave. My favorite place to visit is?
My favorite place to visit is Jamaica.
Jamaica. Nice. How many times have you been?
I have only been one time, but that is my favorite place. I am going back. And I just found out I was half Jamaican when I found my biological family. So now even better.
So you even felt more at home, right? When you realized that, dang, that connection was there. Okay.
Yeah, it was really crazy.
Wellness is?
Wellness is self-care, self-love.
Self-care, self-love. More money, more?
Man, more money. Man, I don't want to say more problems, because it can be if you make it. But more money, bigger blessings.
If I could spend a day with blank, I would blank.
Let's see. If I could spend a day with Donald Trump, I'd fire him.
That's a real one right there. Who would you let take over? Who would take over the world in this moment?
Oh man, not Kanye West. Man.
Okay.
I don't know who's in line for the takeover because I feel like there's an agenda no matter who is pretty much up next. You know, I feel like they're already chosen. I feel like it don't matter. I feel like it might not even be a fact that we have a say so. Like, who's to say that we do have a say so just because, you know, they tell us we can. You know, I just feel like the control goes beyond what they're actually telling us. So I think I'm more of a free world type of person.
Okay, so fire him and we just live in the free world. I like that.
Man,
I would like that.
We need to, free world type of no one's more superior than the next.
Okay, so love is
manifestation.
Real talk. And sex is?
Sex is a way to represent your love for that person.
And media is?
Man, media is hectic. Media is time consuming. Media is confusing.
Last but not least, Nick is?
Man, Nick is universal. Like, I'm just consciousness. I'm just so living out in this ego form, man.
That's dope, man. Thank you so much for this interview.
No doubt. I am Nick, and I am born obviously incredible.
Thanks for listening to Boy Meets Wellness. Stay connected on and off the show by following us online at Boy Meets Wellness. That's boy with an I. Until next time,